Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. It's Kim here. And today I would like to introduce you to my scrap bucket. But this is just what I call my pink scraps. Okay, I'm just gonna kind of go through a little bit. Now this was a seam I cut off from a little skirt, and isn't it a beautiful ruffle? So this is gonna get put aside. But you know, there's some strips of fabric that I can cut up. There's some little quilt squares that I've picked up in my travels here and there. There's pieces of fiber. And some of you would look at this and go, oh, straight to file G. But I use all this stuff, and I will come back into here for many things as I'm working on projects. You know, sometimes there's pieces of pink lace. It's whatever I had kind of worked on in the last little while, or any offcuts. This is in here. This is just a little sampler. Isn't this the cutest thing? And it's just done on a little piece of coffee stained paper and 3 little pieces with a label stapled on. And I did this one, and I keep it in here just to remind myself to replicate it one day, but I haven't done it yet. So one of these days I will. And then, yeah, there's always little offcuts that were like the seams, or, you know, sometimes just scrappy bits from taking apart garments. And then there's some full-size pieces in here too. This is kind of a chiffon piece here that was probably an overlay on something. And I use these in my projects. You will see that more and more in the future, because now I'm going to do videos where you actually see me working with this stuff. That's really the best way to put this to use and to get my work done. So yeah, there's always different kinds of scrappy bits. And when it gets to this point where I can't even close the container, it's time to start working on this. And the pink is getting overloaded. My oranges and yellows, those seem to be the colors I work in the most. And I have a pretty full black container, like a black scraps. So I'm going to start with this one today. I think this will be more than enough. If I can get it down to about half, where I can feel comfortable closing the container again, I will consider a good day. Because it takes a while to cut up a few garments, but I can see in the pile to cut up, I do have a few pink garments where the stuff could end up in here. For the most part, most of a garment does get packaged into its own thing or cut up and put in its rightful place, but there's always the scrappy bits that will end up back in here. So I'm preparing ahead of time, knowing that I've got pink garments over there that have to be cut. So that's the scrap bucket. And now it's like what to do with it, right? What do you do with all these bits and pieces? Well, I wouldn't go into the scraps into full detail, but I do use them for journal cards and tabs and making snippet rolls and clusters and all those kinds of things. But today, as you can tell from the title of the video, I want to focus on swatch cards. And I have been re-inspired, which is why I'm doing swatch cards today. So swatch cards are where you cut up pieces, and you've seen me do it before in other videos, and you know, make little squares and sort of a sampler card of different fabrics and ribbons or trims or even paper. But today it's pink fabric. And so I had made, I guess it's got to be at least a year ago now, I made a set of swatch cards that you can print onto paper for yourself. Excuse me, just a second. A little tickle there. So these are the ones I printed for myself. I actually just used some brown paper bag. That's hilarious. I think this particular bag came full of bags from my friend Jen. And so I cut up these bags. And I printed these little squares in different sizes on them to, you know, cut little fabric pieces to fill in, or paper. Like, it can be anything. You could put buttons in there. So I'm going to work on these pages today. And if you're looking for these, if you'd like to have these pages to do your own swatch cards, you can go to my blog. And on my blog, on the left-hand side, it tells you all of the digital images that are there for you to download. There's over 300. We're working in the 400 series now. 301 to 400 is what we're working on. But these, I will tell you, they are in the 200s section, because I broke it down by hundreds so that you don't have to scroll through a million images. And these ones you might have to scroll down a little bit. But while you're there, you might find a few other images that you want to download. They're all free. You can just go there and help yourself to them. So it's on my blog, imagesbykim.blogspot.com. I fixed that link issue. Thank you, Caroline, for pointing it out to me. And so now I know what the problem is, where people were struggling to get go to the blog from my YouTube channel. So I fixed it. The link is below. You can click on it and go, or you can copy it and paste it into your browser location bar and go from there. But yeah, they are 100% free, that you can download them and then print them onto anything. You can print them on plain white paper. I think I have some here, actually. Where are they? Where did I put them? Oh, here they are. Because I had been doing this for a while, and so here's another one printed on some packaging paper. But I printed them on coffee stain backgrounds. So here's one started with papers, and then there's just a plain one. And I did this one with a paper on the back, or printing on the back, so it's ready to go into a signature. So I can either fold it up, two, and then maybe make a one thing, or I can cut these to make tags, by cutting, say, 6 blocks or 4 blocks, and make journal cards. So I have lots of variety of options of how to use them. And then I printed them 9 on a page, because maybe you want to get a little bit more creative with them. And there is on the set of 4, because there's 4 different kinds. There's this one I call the bingo card, because it's got the blank part at the top here that you can dress up the way you want. So I did 2 to a page, and then I did this size, as well as 4 to a page, and I think there's another one. But you can change your print settings to print them 2 up or 4 up. Like if you like this one and you want to have that top on there, instead of printing them 2 on a page, you could just print 4 pieces to a page to make them smaller and still have a bingo card style. And as you can see, this one's got little pieces of paper. It just sits here until I have a chance to finish it. And I've printed all kinds. I'm very ambitious, and I'm a superwoman crafter. And then it's on a thing here, and I just work on them as I go along. I do have some I can show you that are finished, but I will show you some finished ones at the end of the day as well. So there's that method. So you can go and get that for free. You can print it on scrapbook paper. Maybe you have some scrapbook paper that you're not really fond of, and you can print on the white side, or you can print right over top of the scrapbook paper if it's a neutral enough color, and then do your swatch cards to your swatch pieces to match loosely match the paper that you're using or design. And it doesn't have to be scrapbook paper or colored paper like this, or fabric. It could even be book pages. You could have different book pages, or maybe you have elements like appliques, or pieces of ribbon, pieces of lace, all kinds of trims, buttons, sequins. So you can dress these little boxes up and make focal points out of them, and you can cut them out for clusters if you want to, or cluster strips and make belly bands. So lots of fun ideas to do with that. But where I was inspired was, and I will come back to some other options as well, but I was inspired by Caroline from Caroline's Craft Tree, and I will have the link. The link to her digitals is always on my site, because we share things back and forth. She has a kit of 8 pages, and I printed it out. Now my printer was skipping a little, but we're not going to see that anyway. But she has 8 pages, and they're already color backed. So you can plan your colors based on what you've got in your stash, but also use this as a means to make a nice tag or a journal card based on the colors. And so she's given you lots of options, which I just love. And it's done for you. So then you know what to fill in, however you want to fill them in. And then look at these little mini ones. So that reminded me, of course, of paint chips. But this kit, I think it's $3, Caroline. Now, did I print all 8 pages? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I might have, but I might have put them somewhere else. So when I saw these, it reminded me, of course, of paint swatches. And my husband works for Kent, and he had some old paint sample books. This is one book. Am I going to be doing swatches for a while or what? So I was playing with one of those before I turned on the camera. But there's a lot here. So I think what I will do is put them in the different color boxes and then take them from there. So now this one only has one on here that I've glued down. You can barely see it because I'm doing the color on color, which is a little harder to do. So I think in the future I would do more this method where I can pick up something of the color in there and then just use printed fabric so that I have a little bit more options as to what I put down, which is why I really like Caroline's, because you know you can see the colors are there and add all kinds of things onto it. And the nice thing about this too is you don't have to actually use the colors. You can use some cream colored lace or white lace or you know, any kind of lace overlay. I'm just trying to find a piece of lace here in my pile that is complementary to the color you're working on. So this could be just a piece that's cut and put in here and further embellished just like that. So I really loved Caroline's because you've got these different color options. Now I printed this on 60-pound cardstock, and it was paper I had used before. There's an image on the back of here, but so if I use this as a journal card, I will definitely cover the back so you don't see the backs. But they're just so pretty. You could make these into belly bands with different things on them, or journal cards or whatever. And I just love how I can take a piece of lace like this and cut that to fit. Now I'm just going to cut one. Isn't this gorgeous? So I'm going to be using up these little scraps today in all of these cards. Now I kind of like it right there, I think. So I've got my hot glue gun on, and I'm just going to drizzle. Now you can use your white glue, of course, your tacky glue or fabric glue, whatever you want, but I'm just using a little bit of hot glue because I know I'm going to embellish these even further later. But doesn't that look cute? So it's just a matter of finding things in my little swatches here that I can use to complement each of these different colors. So then I thought, okay, that's good too. Maybe you don't have a printer, which would really surprise me. So these methods wouldn't work for you. But you can pick up paint swatches from your local paint store. Just don't try to grab hundreds of them at a time. And, you know, we'll look for colors that are more complementary to the work you work in so that you know that you'll have a constant flow of them getting used up. In the case of these paint swatches, it's a little harder because, you know, I don't necessarily work in every color a lot. You know, I mean, I do work in certain colors, but some colors not heavy duty. So it would take a lot longer to fill up colors that I don't use, but it's fun just the same. And they don't have to be fabric. They can be scrapbook paper. You could color in them. You can fill these with labels. So you could make sort of a label swatch card, which would be fun. Or you can create labels that you can cut up after individually. Oh, I can't stop with this. I could see this going on for days. So lots of fun. So do check out Caroline's offers for digitals, and this kit is there, and I believe it's only $3. You know, I might be out, but I'm pretty sure it's pretty reasonable, or it's part of her monthly $3. But one way or another, you should be able to get it at a pretty good price. So then I came to the idea, well, what happens if you don't have a printer to print these? And maybe you don't have access to a paint store where you can get these, because we do have to kind of snitch them when we go get them. I do feel guilty, but I don't feel guilty because I have a husband that's in the paint department. But he brought me home lots, so I have no shortage because they were discontinued books, and so I'm getting to use those. But if you don't have access to those materials, you can just draw squares onto paper and then fill it in. You can make fancy fun frames, like squiggly frames, or you can use a large piece of paper and then chop up different colors of paper into little squares and spots, and then further enhance them with fabric or embellishments as well. So you can do it manually and it will be equally as nice. You can use bingo cards. Now somewhere I have my original bingo card that I did. Where is it? It's in here somewhere. Yeah. So I still have, would you believe it, I still have one square to finish on this bingo card. This was some kind of a game, a bridal gift bingo. So I will eventually cover that up. I have made more, and I will show you the other ones that I've made. But this just gives you an idea. And in this case, I used some paper, I used fabric, I used lace. I did a little embellishment there with a little flower, some label stickers, book pages. I just have one more spot to fill in, which I'll do today. These little appliques are cute too, but it's endless what you can put in these little spots. And they look so cheery and fun, and would make a nice little page, ephemera piece in your journal, and you can cut them to whatever size you like. So that's another option, bingo cards, or drawing your own. But then, and I haven't played with it yet, I discovered that I should be using my old calendars. Now, with this calendar, it's a calendar of trains. I think I got this from Jen. Thank you, Jen. Because when I saw it in the pile, that's what inspired me to do this. So this was definitely a calling from all my, from Jen, from Caroline, from Tom, just to get started working on this. But what I did is I took out a few pages of this calendar, and first I'll show you the calendar. It's got the full size page, which is large, and then of course as you turn the month, you have the picture on the other side. So trains are not that exciting for me. Not to say that they're not exciting for other people. So I trimmed it down accordingly, knowing that this is the side I'm going to work on, not the picture side. But the picture side can still be covered with other things. So when I cut it down, and I've decided I'm going to make sort of a swatch journal. When I cut it down, in order to keep it into the right size, and to follow the lines of the squares, like this is approximately 4.75 inches, so not quite 5 inches. So this will fit in your regular journal, and it was just fluke that this one is 8.5 inches. But for the most part, I usually make my journal covers 9 inches, so there is a little bit of extra wiggle room. I could have left the dates, the days of the week on there, and left a little bit of a margin. But either way, it will be perfect to put inside of a journal. So I thought, there's two ways I could look at this. I can have a fold and then turn this into a flip. The only thing you have to keep in mind if you're putting this in your journals is that you have to work upside down while you're covering the numbers. Because, when you've got your calendar page, when you flip it up, the picture on the other side is now facing the right way when you have your calendar on the wall. So when you are working on your signature page, if you turn this around, the picture is upside down. So if you really like the image, of course, that you want to use in your journal as part of your signature page, then you need to work upside down when you do this. So then you would definitely want to cover the numbers. If you're going to be cutting this into, maybe 6 squares after to make a journal card that you're going to back, then you don't have to worry about that. And then you can work around the numbers if you so want to keep the numbers in there and the words, full moon and all that kind of stuff, Martin Luther King Day. So you at least the numbers, if not the different holidays and special dates. But if you don't care about the numbers, then you can cover it however way you want, and of course keep your picture the right way. So that's just an idea for you. So I'm going to take this whole train book, it's got what, 12 pages, 12 months, or maybe it's got 16 months. Yeah, some of them have 16 months, which I will cut them all down to size. Not all today, but I will cut them down to size and make a journal of them of different colors of swatches. So that would be a fun way to use up my calendar, to have some fun images to put into a signature, and fun ephemera that you can either cut up if you want. So there's that method. And then I thought, why not keep the whole book together? Now this is a different calendar, and these have beautiful floral images on the other side. So here again, because I want the option to use this picture in my signature or as a journal card, whatever, because you could cut these down to pieces, and so you would do your sampling on this side, have the pretty picture on that side, and then if you want to use it as a journal card or a tag, I would just add another paper flip over top or something to be able to write on. But sometimes not all tags or journal cards have to be written on. Sometimes they're just fun to put in your journal, take them out and have a look at them and touch them and feel them and stuff. So in this case, with this calendar in particular, I'm going to leave it in the book, the whole book. I'm just going to work on it as a sampler and see what happens with it. I have my different booklets here, like my cluster book and my tag book that I glue things into. And so this will just go in the same pile with them. And when I've got a couple of scraps or, a day where I want to work on something, I can just fill in a few pieces. And what fun to be able to take this image and then pick things that are on here to use on this side, so that you make it a complementary fabric to this actual image. So yeah, I'm going to play with that in this book. I even have some of this blue gingham that is here, and then we can revisit this from time to time, where you can see what I do. Look at that just allows for so many fun colors to complement on this side. So I'm going to enjoy playing in here a little bit today. And, look at the color combination here, that you can add different swatches in purples and mauve and green and yellow. So that will be a fun project to play on. So I will get that started today. So that's just different methods. I use the hot glue to glue them down. I have another calendar here called Oceans that isn't even open. I think I bought it because I love the colors and the images in here. So I haven't even opened this calendar. So there again, I might use this one as a method to play on the images that are in here and use those colors to further enhance this calendar. So I will work on here a little bit today. It is early in the morning and I'm going to play all day. I will stop the camera and I'm going to play all day, and I will turn it on at the end of the day and show you sort of what I've done. So there are different ways that I use to cut my swatch pieces. Sometimes it's just chop with a pair of scissors. You saw me do that with the lace. And I also have what I call little templates that I made. And I put the letter T on it so I know not to cut it up. And I know that this fits something here in the pile, and I will line up the templates with the actual items. But then I just take, my scraps here. So you can tell this is a lot of possibilities in this little box. And I just hold it with my thumb. And just take my scissors. I don't trim it perfectly. I mean, yes, I can use my rotary cutter if I want, if I'm going to be cutting a lot of strips. But, the whole fun is to not put too much thought process into it. It's more building the colors and working on the pieces. Now, there are going to be some little ugly bits that I'm not going to use in my pieces, but I just cut it into an approximate square like that. or you can manually, just do an eyeball measurement method and cut your pieces to fit. Sometimes you have to go back and retrim them. But yeah, I make little templates for different sizes. Like this is a 1x1. So I use this for tab binding, but when I'm doing tabs to bind a journal, but also it's the perfect size to do some little inchy squares in those pieces. So that just gives you some ideas of how I play. Everything will be hot glued, but you can also use your Fabri-Tac or your, whatever glue of preference. You can stitch over top of them if you wanted to. I'm just going to hot glue and then further embellish. I will take my little iron, it's on the table now for doing small projects, and some of this when I use it, I want to iron it flat. I want to take all the rough edges off, so that will be a great way to get everything nice and smoothed out. So let's see how I end up later today with this bucket of goodness. Hopefully it makes a little bit of a dent and I will be able to show you something fun and exciting. Okay, stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. And I am back. I will say this is the longest second I've ever taken. What was just a second to you was actually 2 months later. Can you believe it? This sat on my desk, done, but I just never got a chance to come back and finish off the video. So here I am today, 2 months later. Yeah, the longest second ever. So look at, isn't this gorgeous? Look at all the color here. It is so beautiful. Nothing is completely finished. But I'm just giving you some ideas and then you can take it to your own levels, and I will take it to other levels and I will show you the results as I have a chance to work on it. But it could be months again before I come back to this. But you saw the different items and elements that I was working with. So here are some of the paint chips that I used, and not finished. But, in this case, I was really looking for colors that were complementary to the background. So I was being way too fussy, and so they're not finished. But I do like how they look so far, and I know that these will just go in a bucket that has shades of blue, and I will work on them when I have time. It's not something that will ever be finished unless I purposely go through all different kinds of fabrics to get exactly what I want. But yeah, it's fun, and then when it's finished, I can use it in my journals one way or another. So I have those two. And then here again is the paint swatches. And this one had that shiny ribbon on it. In some cases, you can see the original color names and color numbers underneath it, but I actually don't even mind that. So it just makes it, again, showing people that it is repurposed, that it used to be a paint chip, but now it's a swatch sampler. And then the pink one here turned out really cute, not quite finished. And some of these you can even just ink stamp on them. Like I said, put a label on, do some collaging with other found objects like buttons and ribbons and trims and things. So I will continue to play with these and collage on them. They're just fun little things that I can add into my journals as I go along. This one just has the one little polka dot thing in there. But again, I focused on the color a lot. I really matched things up to the color that the fabric was, and I think I would be less likely to do that in the future. I would really work with just putting the swatches down and just having fun. So then from there, I went on to doing Caroline's. And oh, Caroline, I love these. First of all, I love the different sizes. You can see, I think you can see where I'm at here. Sorry, I just wanted to double check the time so I don't go too far. Okay. So yeah, I did the purples here. I found this purple butterfly fabric that I just loved. And so there's a couple more squares to fit in there. This one was a little bit more neutral colors, but I loved it. And then these ones are ready. They can be cut out of here now and used as journal cards. But I just love them how they look like this. I don't know how I would ever use them like this. So they will eventually have to get cut up. But I'm just not quite ready yet to cut them up. I like looking at it. So I have 2 more spots to fill in here, and then this one will be done. So now this was an 8-page kit, but I didn't print all the pages in this kit. But here's this one. I did go back into some of the other colors of scraps that I had. So I worked in the yellows a little bit and this kind of neutral, kind of a creamy color. And then I went into blues. But there again, I was supposed to be working on my pink scraps. And this one got finished. I like how this one turned out. And I even had a little Scotty dog here. I don't know if you can see it if I turn it that way. And then this one has a little flower in there. So just really, really cute. And this is all pieces of fabric that I have in my scrap buckets. Now, they don't use up very much fabric at all. So don't get your hopes up that you're going to clean out your fabric pieces, because it doesn't work that way. This is just a small little tidbit of the fabrics in my scrap buckets. So yeah, it's a long process. Something else I will mention is I did end up using the white tacky glue instead of the hot glue. I would use the hot glue more for thicker embellishments like crochet or trims and stuff where I want to adhere quickly. But for these flat fabrics, I just drizzled a little bit of white glue and then spread it out with a brush and then put my fabric on so that the glue wouldn't seep through, and it gave it a really nice hold right to the edges. So that is what I ended up using instead of the hot glue. So there's that one. And then this one came along really nicely. I hadn't worked in the greens. I just had the 3 buckets or 4 buckets on the table, and I worked with those. And I said, well, I'll come back and do these on another day. But again, they're turning out really, really cute. I hope you can see all that. Looks like you can see them pretty good here. So I'm pleased with how they're turning out, and I look forward to doing more of these. Definitely. Caroline, this is a fun project. What's nice about this is that, when they're on a big sheet like this, you can pick and choose which area you want to work on and then put it down. And I just left them, because you're putting a lot of tacky glue on, I just left them somewhere, on my desk on a pile somewhere individually so that they could dry a little bit first. And then once they were dry, they were flat again. That's just a little skunk on the back. And this one just barely started because, again, I didn't go into a lot of the fabric colors. I just went with what I had at the time. So I'm pleased with how these are turning out, and I look forward to working on them more. So now these ones, I did these on music sheets, and this came out of my head because I had bits and pieces, and I said, I'm just going to grab and do them. So all of these are just little bits, and I very loosely followed the lines of the music sheet. So this is another great background that you can use, and I just made it up as I went along. So I've got some larger squares, some thin ribbon pieces and little pieces. And I just thought this would be a fun thing to cut up or even just fold, because I was careful to make sure I left space so that however I wanted to fold it, I could fold it. So I could make smaller belly bands or bookmarks or long tags and journal cards, or I could carefully fold this up to make a signature page. So I gave myself options by leaving spaces when I started in a new row so that I can make those choices as I go along. And what I loved about this, in this case, the music sheet was just so wonderful because it says sounds from the woods waltz. And I thought, it's a cacophony of fabric, and it is it's almost musical in itself, isn't it? So I thought this would be so fun to add into a journal, and I used just neutral colors of different fabrics. I don't think I repeated anything on this one, so it was just bits of. I had a huge pile of little quilting pieces. Somebody had pre-cut it's not like I was going to make a quilt out of them anyway, but because they were such an assortment of colors, I used those on this music sheet. So then I continued and made more music sheets. So this one I used a long piece of ribbon and longer strips, and then I had a pink butterfly, long piece of lace. So it's just playing with what you have and collaging in a way. So you could do this on plain paper, you could do it on scrapbook paper that you enhance, and make your own patterns and designs. You could make heart-shaped patterns or oval patterns. You can create different little design elements that you then cut up and use however you like. So there's lots of fun ways to use up your fabric scraps, and not just fabric. You can use your scrapbook papers, your little bits and pieces left over from whatever you've worked on as a project, and it turns out so cute. And these ones are fast because there's no guidelines to follow as far as the colored background, or to follow a size requirement. I just let it happen. Now in this case, these were thinner pieces, but I just added 2 rows of the thin pieces. Hope I'm in camera. I've got my camera in a different position today, so I can't really see what's going on here. I got to figure that out yet. But yeah, I just used whatever I had and filled in however. And you can see they're not cut perfectly rectangular or square, but in the end, it really doesn't matter. It's the whole collection that I'm focusing on. And again, if you look at this one, the words of the song are, "If you'll remember me." Well, wouldn't this be a fun page to have all the different fabrics of maybe dresses that you wore, or pieces of a grandma's quilt in here. So these are just fun ideas to play on the words of the song, and then play with the fabrics as well. Not that I did that, but it's just a possibility. And then look at this yellow one. So here I experimented with different shapes, long and short pieces, solids, as well as the mixed ones, and a little bit of glitter and a little bit of applique in there too. And this, these pieces could have been easily tossed, but look at what a fun color collage it's made, and so simple, so easy. And then it was the calendar pages. And here are my calendar pages that I've done so far. Now this one is complete. Now I've got one spot here I see I have to glue down, probably lifted while I had this all folded. So on some of the fabrics that are more translucent, you can see the number 9 and the number 16. And well, you can see some of the numbers through the calendar. I will just go back and maybe glue a button or some sequins, or even another little applique over top. On this one, I glued an applique on top, so it just further enhances the fabric underneath. And this one, I think I did 3 layers. There's the fabric, which is underneath here. And then I did netting over top, and then I did the flower. So you can really play on this. Lots of these are not just fabric. This one was a piece of ribbon. I think this one was a piece of ribbon that had a wired edge that I cut off. Here I've put some lace. You recall this ribbon. I've used it throughout. And I just placed it over top of there. So anything goes. Buttons, sequins, trims, paper, whatever you have on your desk. Any color. There's no rhyme or reason to any of it, but just the whole collection is just fun. So now this is on the back side of one of those train pieces, and the way I've folded it is I can use this as a signature page in a journal, just like that, and then maybe further decorate this. There is no right or wrong to this other than the numbers, so I can turn it upside down. And this has got the grass background. I could maybe build some pockets here, turn that into a flip, so that takes away part of it, and you wouldn't even know it's a calendar page unless you want it to be a calendar page. But I don't know, it's quite a bit contrast to calendar and then this pink stuff. So I have lots of options. I think for myself, for this one, most likely I would cut this into journal card size. So I might cut 9 squares and 6 squares and then back it with something, maybe a nice pink trim that is complementary to whatever the collection of squares is. So that's a possibility. Today I'm not going into that level. I'm just showing you what I did. Now, because I was cutting pieces, I did cut several at one time so I could work on several pages. So you will see, like I have this fabric here and I have it in there. I have the strawberries here and I have it there. They didn't necessarily land up in the same place because I didn't want things to be matchy-matchy. There was no reason. But so again, I could use both of these in the same journal and they still look different, even though most of them are the same, very same fabrics. Because once I was cutting, I figured, I might as well cut a bunch of these. And so I just made piles and then filled them in as I went along. And then at the end, there were some situations where I was struggling because I had run out of some little fabric. And so I was struggling to find 1 or 2 pieces to fill in the rest of the holes. And so I had to go into the regular fabrics and cut off a chunk of something so I could fill in the holes. Because, I don't have exactly all of these fabrics in my scraps, but a good portion of them. There's the bingo card. I finally did finish that last little square. It was just the first thing that came off the chopping block. And so it is finished. I do want to do something up at the top here, but it's just going to go in my stash until I have a reason to use it. Right now, I'm just enjoying them and I love how they look, and I will keep making more and add to them until I have a project where I want to use these. But yeah, they're just fun and makes me happy to look at it, and just a fun way to use up bits and pieces. So the ones that are filled in will go into my stash for future work, and the ones that still need 1 or 2 squares will stay in the pile and I will work on it from there. Here, these were full size, sort of an loose ATC size, that I printed out. This was just the single square or rectangular that I printed out 9 times. Your printer settings probably allow you to do that. And I just filled them in knowing that I may collage on here. I may cut them out individually. But again, it's something I will decide in the future. But they look nice too. They look nice just like this. This could be folded into thirds. It's got the lines on the back side here too, so I may further enhance that as well before I use it as a signature page. Or I may use it for something altogether different. I'm not sure at this point. Another one here done on the brown paper bag, same idea. This was a piece of velvet ribbon, so it just came right off. I just chopped and glued, and it was done. This little piece here was a light pink underneath, but I put way too much glue, and the glue was seeping through the satin, so I was able to see the glue. But then I just put the lace over top as an overlay and glued that down, and you would never know. And again, just fun pieces that I can now individually cut out or use in sections or further collage on here. I can make little clusters and snippets and stuff like that I can use in mine. In fact, this is almost a nice size to make a little tuck pocket or tuck spot. So I can further enhance this to make tuck spots. And then I just thought I would show you the calendar. Now, I worked on the calendar. First, I'm going to find a page that's empty. My idea was that I was going to take the colors in here and then glue them on the back of the page so that when I use this page in a journal, it has all of these colors on the other side. Well, when I started out, that was a lot of flipping back and forth to see what I had here and what fabric matched it, and then to cut it and glue it back in. I was getting annoyed with that very quickly. So I've decided that instead I would just do whatever I wanted. The colors, I kind of worked in these colors anyway, so it wasn't that far off. Like if you look at all the colors in here, they're not much different than the colors in there. So it's the pinks, the greens, the yellows, the blues. These are all colors we work with, right? So when I actually did a page like this one, I just stuck to the pinks. It doesn't really match the other side perfectly, like if you look on the other side here, but there is, there are pinks. See, it's impossible to show you because it's yeah, I can't really even show you. But, the colors work. It looks nice anyway. And I find with the calendars, it leaves your page very wrinkly on the other side. And the pages are still pretty flimsy. So I would probably back this anyway. Calendars are not meant, for this purpose. So I think it's not something I would just fold up and use in my journal like that, only because I want something a little bit more substantial, especially to hold all this fabric. I think you could run into situations where your paper would tear a little bit, or be a little distressed if you tried to do anything with it where you've got the extra weight added onto the page. But again, fun and easy to fill this in. It is done. I can further embellish it as I want or cut it up, whatever I want to do with it. So I did do a couple of pages, I think. Yeah, here's another one. So this one is done. And the same thing, when I was cutting a square for this one, I cut one for that one, and I just filled it in as I went along. And then when I ran out of colors, I went back and cut up some other garments. This one, I just had this little doily sitting on my desk, and it was perfect to cover that up. And here's that little Scotty dog again. He's so cute, and I was able to cut him out in ways that he looked really cute in the square itself. And so lots of fun. I did only the 2 pages, I think, in here. 1, 2. Yeah. So this book will just sit on my desk. Well, not on my desk, but where I have a collage book where I do masterboards, like a magazine that I do masterboards in. I have my little tag book. I have my little cluster book. So they all sit together. And then when I feel that, sometimes you don't really feel like doing anything, I just pull those books out and that's what I work on. And I clear off a few things on my desk. So it's not necessarily that I will cut this up right away, but one day I'll be working on something. I'll go, oh, that's what I want to put in there. And these will be done and ready to go because I will explore doing other colors. Jen, I could see this being something you would love to do. I bet you're sorry you gave me that calendar. But I could definitely see that this would be a fun thing to do in the future. So I will definitely make these in different colors and not worry so much about what's on the back side. I'm just going to pause the video for a second. Okay, my husband's going away right now, so he's just waving me off. Drive careful. See you soon. But yeah, so that's where I'm at with this calendar. And this is a great way, we're coming to the end of the year. Once the end of the year comes up, you can walk around the house, gather up all those calendars. And even if you made notes on your calendar, maybe at a doctor's appointment or your school was out early or, some little note, school meeting. These are all things that can be covered up with that fabric and you won't see what's underneath. And if it does show through, you can always further enhance it with things that are a little bit more solid. So that is my take on these. I loved making these. Thanks to my husband for the paint swatches. Thanks to Jen for the calendars, or one calendar she gave me. And thank you, of course, to Caroline for her swatches. I think of them all, it would be a toss-up. My favorites would be a toss-up between the music and Caroline's because I just love the combination of colors here that I have to work on that have inspired me over and over again. So I don't know, once the camera goes off, I might sit and play a little bit more yet today. The paint swatches are a little harder to do, but they are going in the rightful color buckets so that when I'm working on stuff and maybe I'm adding more fabric to it, I can go and go, hey, I can put that there. So that is how I'm going to separate the paint swatches now and put them into the rightful buckets so that I can work on them at that time. But this is just a ton of wonderful inspiration, and it just makes me happy looking at all of this beautiful color. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you will have a play with this. And like I said, if you have a printer and you want to print some free ones, you can go to my blog and print the free ones, or go to Caroline's Craft Tree to her coffee site. I think she even has them on Creative Fabrica, I'm not sure. But you can definitely go to her coffee site and purchase them there from her. What a great thing, because you can print them over and over and over again, and you can print one page or you can print the same page 10 times. So it's a great way to reuse and repurpose your scraps. Again, I wish you all a very creative day and a creative week. I will see you all soon. Bye for now.